Welcome to our video where we will be showcasing the wonders of science and specifically ionic and covalent bonds.
Our first showcase will be explaining and giving a demonstration of ionic bonds. An ionic bond is the complete transfer of valence electrons between atoms. This is a type of chemical bond which generates two oppositely charged ions. So, for example, you would have something like this lithium, which has a full inner shell with two, and this outer one right here has just one. So because of that, this fluorine, which has two on the inside and 7 on the second ring, needs one, so these two will come together and it'll give its electron to make both of these stable.
For our next topic, we'll be covering the topic of covalent bonds, also known as molecular bonds, where they share electrons between each other. So in this, hydrogen right here and hydrogen right here. And you add them together, it makes hydrogen 2, where they share electrons and share protons and neutrons. The end. So, equal balance between the active and repulsive forces between atoms when they share electrons, also known as covalent bonding.
For our next topic, we will be showcasing valence electrons and how they relate to each type of bond. So valence electrons are the electrons in the outermost shell of an atom. So for example, like this lithium, it has 2 on the inside shell, but this last one on the outer shell, is its valence electron. So atoms will either gain or lose electrons to become stable. So for an example, when an atom gives away something negative, it does that to become positive. So depending on how many valence electrons are in an atom will depend on what it can bond with. So when you take an element like sodium and combine it with something like chlorine, when the valence electrons come together, it makes both of them stable, which creates what we know as salt.
The next item we'll be discussing is how periodic trends affect bonding. One of the main things affecting periodic trends affecting bond is ionization energy, which is the same path of decreasing and increasing electron gravity. The different periodic trends, such as the things like electron gravity and ionization energy, create the different varieties of bonds. When the energy is high, the results of these bonds are polar and non-polar. Covalent bonds, ionic bonds. So what I mean is electron gravity increases left to right and bottom to top. So it goes from here, it goes over, and then the bottom all the way up to the top.
For our last and final topic, we will be discussing the characteristics of both ionic and covalent bonds. Ionic bonds are soluble in water, their compounds are formed out of both metals and nonmetals. And as a solid, they don't conduct electricity, but as a liquid, or when dissolved in water, they will conduct electricity. If the bond does not have a spare electron to create a complete shell, it will spare an electron to create a complete shell. One will act as 2 and spin in a figure-8 motion around both of the atoms.
For our last topic, we will talk about covalent bonds and their characteristics. They have no melting points and boiling points, low total heat fusion, vaporization. They also are soft and brittle for solid forms, and have poor electrical and thermal conductivity.